Hello everyone, this is video 2 for the audiophile and rarities list that will form part of the Shortcuts price list that will go out 9 p.m. Wednesday, August 21st. If you would like to be on the price list, drop me an email, shortcutsrecordsaus@gmail.com. In this selection, we've got box sets, rarities, original presses, and a slew of Vinyl Me Please sold out presses. All right, where to start? Well, I have decided to start with this record. Queen, Innuendo. Let me just push this over here a little bit. The last record to be released during the lifetime of one Mr. Freddie Mercury. I remember this record coming out. I had it on CD. The opening track, Innuendo, went to #1 in the UK. It was everywhere. And there were a slew of singles off the back of this record. I remember I'm Going Slightly Mad, These Are the Days of Our Lives, and then finally, The Show Must Go On. Of course, by this point, Freddie Mercury had been diagnosed HIV positive in 87, and by the time this came out in 1991, he had full-blown AIDS. I'm just going to show you a couple of little things about there's the record. This is the Aussie first press in immaculate condition. Now, what is special about this is that it also comes with the press release that went out at the time. So this was a promo copy. I think this went to where I got this. What I suspect is that this went to some of the label leadership, the EMI label leadership in Australia at the time, and then out to some press. And so this press release is really interesting. It's like a Q&A, and it absolutely lauds Queen. Queen, how do you sum up a band like Queen, who 20 years ago were audacious enough to adopt the title of Britain's reigning monarch? So someone is slathering it on, and it goes on. A multitude of objectives, outrageous, flamboyant, bombastic, to name but 3. All of those, of course, are completely accurate for a band that sold, 80, 100 million records and became, legendary. And so this goes on and on. Look at this. It's a pretty amazing read. It's a full-blown hagiography posing as a history of the band. And then it finishes... in October 1990, Queen renewed their long and successful relationship with EMI Records in London and surprised the music world by assigning their entire catalogue and signing a new record deal. This Disney-owned company launches with their first Queen album, Innuendo, in early 1991. 20 years on for the band that had achieved what no other rock group has. 18 years at the top without any lineup change. Well, I'm pretty U2 would have a crack at that title now. Meanwhile, in London, on the same year, in February 1991, EMI Records celebrates 18 years of unparalleled success. How would you describe a band like Queen, signed off by EMI Australia? Now, there's an interesting package. Super rare. I bet you, is there anyone out there who has this record? I bet you don't. It is super hard to find, especially in mint condition with a press release like that. All right. Okay. There's a long list, so I'm going to move on. What I've got now is one of my all-time favorite records. It is Fred Wesley and the JBs, and the record is called Damn Right I Am Somebody. This was recorded around the same time that James Brown was recording The Payback, probably his greatest album, which is a double album of incredibly infectious grooves. If you ever see it, just automatically buy it. It is really rare, really hard to find. And so Fred Wesley was the leader of the JBs, his backing band, and was the trombone player. And look at, can you see on the back of this, there's a slew of words. It just says, think that you are somebody and you will be somebody. Positive thinking, positive thinking, positive thinking. Damn right I am somebody. This record begins with James Brown introducing the band and all of them saying, damn right I am somebody. And that part of that tension, nay anger, kind of permeates the record. Tracks like I'm paying taxes, but what am I buying? That track has this kind of scat singing interspersed with this unbelievably groovy horn kind of bridge, and it's just an awesome record. Blow Your Head is probably the most famous track on here. It's been sampled so many times, has this Moog synthesizer that pulses the whole track whilst the band are just grooving like hell around it. The opening track of side one, same beat, part one, is just a monster funk riff. It's so good. If you don't get it the first time, back up and try it again, party. Make me what you want me to be. This album is in my top 10 of all time. I absolutely love it. There are a few marks on this copy, which is what I've got, I don't know, I think 5 or 6 copies. This is still a really nice copy. It plays great. It's a monster record, especially side one. Man, I have listened to that side one, I don't know, countless times. It's so good. Fred Wesley and the JBs. Damn right, I am somebody. All right, now I'm going to go through a selection of Vinyl Me Please sold out exclusives. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, Vinyl Me Please are an audiophile record club based out of Denver, Colorado. And there's a bunch of us in the club who are members. I think maybe 6 or 7 of us at this point. You get a record each month and you can choose from various different tracks. Last month I got a 2x45 RPM press of The Hissing of Summer Lawns by Joni Mitchell, and next month they are showcasing the Ramones. So if you are into the Ramones and you would like to be part of this, drop me a note. I get discounts. I can introduce you to the club. You get $100 off for a year subscription. The Ramones record, there's 2 of them that they're showcasing, but Rocket to Russia is the one that I'm hanging out for, and they will do an amazing job. There's some extra with it too that they're not telling people what. I think it's an art print. From what I can tell, there's a specific art print coming with it too that, I don't know, mixtures of art prints and stuff. Anyway, it's going to be cool. Now, what I wanted to show you, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 records here that are all sold out Vinyl Me Please exclusives. I'm just going to go through them. They're all quite different. So this first one is Shakira Unplugged. Sealed, has never been opened. This is one of the probably highest lauded MTV Unplugged performances. And it's interesting because Shakira performs the entire album in Spanish. She had released a Spanish album the year before, and of course the album is that glossy studio production that you imagine, but the acoustic MTV versions showcase just how incredible her vocals are, but also how the band are ridiculous. If you like samba, flamenco, Latin influenced pop, and you will lap this up. And you know, this is, you can see here, this is, it's got a number 1033. It's first ever vinyl release of Shakira's acoustic live album, pressed on exclusive 2LP magenta spinner vinyl. limited to 2,000 foil stamped and numbered copies. This is number 1033. All right. Every so often, Violently Please will pull something out of the ether, a record, a band that's got something interesting about it that you will never have heard of. And this is one of those. Beverly Glenn Copeland. This is, I think it's 1971. Beverly Glenn Copeland at that point was a black woman who was queer and coming up in this period with those feelings, and that situation was tough. And since then has become a man. So you've got a transgender black queer person who sings in this incredible register, gospel and almost church music from the kind of Middle Ages kind of vibe to it, but then played through this really mellow jazz kind of feel. It's really indescribable, as you can see. I'm really struggling. Like, think of it like a pastoral masterpiece with vocals and things. It's really, really unusual, and therefore exactly what crate digging is all about. There's the artwork that comes with it. It's completely sealed. It sounds spectacular. If you want to take a punt on something really different and really... I know some of you out there have come back to me to talk about this record and how much you loved it. So it's definitely got its place. For something completely different, this is also sold out. My favorite release of 2023. This is the last copy I had. I had 6. What number is this? This is number 413 of 500. The story of Stonewall, the New York kind of... Think of them like a mixture of the New York Dolls and, I don't know, the Stones. Really riffy, groovy, incredible vocals, mad guitar solos. And this record was recorded by a mafia front that were kind of masquerading as a record company, but really were money laundering. And so this record was lost for decades and then was discovered and had a couple of limited runs in the last few years. And it is an absolute killer. Oh my God. If you don't know them, look them up. They're on Spotify. Give it a go. If you like it, come and grab it. There's very few of these left and the values are skyrocketing. All right. Now we have Gary Bart's Jazz is Dead. Now, the Jazz is Dead series is really interesting. It's kind of a very, very cynical name for what is a really laudable aim, bringing some new and old musicians together. In this case, Gary Bartz, the legendary alto saxophonist, and Adrian Younge and Ali Shaheed Muhammad. What you get is a really accessible funk jazz record. Gary Bartz has been sampled by multiple hip-hop artists over the years, and this record is no different. This feels like it is a sample-laid plate. You know, I'm sure there are people picking bits and pieces. It's a really interesting package too, so this all peels off, and anyway, it's still sealed. It's really cool. It's on Spotify as well. A little bit hard to find. Look up JID006 and you'll see it. But it's really, really good. And then probably finally and most special of all is a lost classic from 1969. The Horace Topscott Quintet, The Giant is Awakened. This was released in 2020 and it's sold out like that. It is crazy valuable now, but I'm going to put a pretty sensible number on it. This is number 91 of 300. You can see it's hand numbered. If you like Charles Mingus, then you will dig Horace Topscott Quintet. It is so Charles Mingus, but also really groovy and quite accessible as well. Later, Horace Tapscott, he didn't record very many records at all, are much more free jazz than this is. This has still got a little bit of avant-garde, but it is not noise. This is really quite melodic and really cool. All right, so there's the Vinyl Me Please audiophile rarity mix. I don't know, guess there's something interesting in there. Now, I had this record, 3 or 4 months ago, and I know 5 or 6 of you chased me up for it. I found one more copy. It is the acoustic series of Stan Getz and Bill Evans, the previously unreleased. Again, you can find this on Spotify. Really cool. Stan Getz on sax, Bill Evans, legendary pianist, mastered from the original analog tapes, manufactured at QRP, tip-on gatefold sleeve, the highest grade. This is a really, really cool record and sounds really special. Really, really special. Very highly recommended, especially there's some of you out there who have this already. Now I've got a couple of box sets. They're a little bit unusual. So one of the pleasures of, I guess, what I would call the vinyl explosion over the last, I guess almost 10 years now, is that it has allowed and provoked Neil Young into creating his own vinyl legacy. He loves the medium. He thinks it's the only way to listen to music, and he is producing some of the most spectacular vinyl re-releases of all time. It is without question. And in and amongst his vinyl explosion, some things get lost. This is one that I really like. I've got this on my shelf. I've got all of the, what are called the official release series boxes. Now, this is one of the, I guess, lost series of this because it unfairly denigrated when it came out. Although I've been reading some blogs just preparing for this discussion, and there's a lot of people who love it as much as I do. So this is the Neil Young Official Release Series Volume 4, numbered limited edition. So this is number 5982. And this features Hawks and Doves, Reactor, This Note's For You, and Eldorado. Now, Eldorado is probably the key to this box set. Eldorado was a Japan-only release. I think it may have been out in one other country, but definitely Japan-only, or Japan, maybe one other country. And it was a 5-song EP that led to Freedom and Ragged Glory. It led that kind of squally, grungy sound. It is almost worth the price of entry alone because this is only $80 for the 4 records. So you get Eldorado. You also get This Note's For You, which was kind of like his 80s blues record. You get Reactor, which was a slab of kind of grungy noise that he did with Crazy Horse, and Hawks and Doves, which was more kind of folk-oriented. So it's really different. Remastered from the original analog recordings at Bernie Grundman Mastering. Historically accurate artwork. These boxes are... It weighs a ton. It's massive. It's really cool. I love these official series. Now, the one after this was my Christmas present to myself last year, which was the one that featured Freedom, Ragged Glory, and Weld. Okay, I'm going to have to be quick. Gosh, now I've got the 6 10-inch EPs of David Bowie's Toy. Probably in his later career, his most notorious release. He brought a band together with all sorts of Lisa Germano and a bunch of really interesting contemporary musicians, and re-recorded a bunch of songs that he had either written or had been recorded by other artists from 64 to 71, effectively. And the record company went, nope, not putting it out. And he was super pissed and went to a new record company and released Heathen. and his career just was, like the fourth, eon of Bowie. And this was then released as an audiophile box set. The new album from David Bowie, you get 6 records, and you get the original toy, which was part of the Brilliant Adventure box set. But you also get a whole bunch of alternatives and extras. And then my personal favorite, you get 2 LPs of acoustic David Bowie. 6 records. It's only, I don't know, $75, $80. I don't know, less than half price of what you would pay elsewhere. Really cool. I also have the Aussie First Press, super hard to find, Aussie First Press on the Fontana label of the debut album by Black Sabbath. There you have it on Fontana. VG/VG Plus, quite nice condition. Very, 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 very rare. Very rare indeed. It's like hundreds of dollars rare to get one, but this won't be that much. I got some other interesting jazz. Got some Japanese here. This is, I don't know. I have a funny. I really like these particular releases that they did of Etta James. This is Etta James Sings for Lovers. This was, I can't remember the first year this came out, but this series with the obi and the beautiful artwork was an early 80s series in Japan, and I think they sound bloody awesome. Sorry, forgive the French. I'm just trying to see if I can see what year this came out originally. Does it say? I have a funny feeling it's late 60s. Anyway, Etta James Sings for Lovers, a lovely Japanese press. Only a couple more to go. How about this? The US First Press in mono Blue Note of Home Cooking by the incredible Jimmy Smith, the man who made organ the thing to play. These original US Blue Notes are on slabs of vinyl like you would not believe. This is the microgroove long playing. This will, because early Blue Note, unless they specify stereo, they are mono. So this is the First Press mono US from 1962. How cool is that? All right, very quickly, the last 2 records in this list are a very rare UK repress on the Trojan label of Return of Django by the Upsetters. So some dub reggae for you to dive into. And then finally, one of my favorite represses of recent years. This is a band that I love very much, and some of their original vinyl just doesn't sound very good. This is In for the Kill by Budgie. Now this is the heavy vinyl repress. I think it's from I want to say it's 2014. Let me see if I wrote it down. It is, I didn't write it down, but it's on the Noteworthy label, and it is a belting version, superior in most ways to any of the originals that I've heard, that were really kind of a bit underwater. So these represses are very welcome. Think Budgie as a cross between Led Zeppelin and Rush. Super riffy, really funky. This is in as close to mint condition as you can imagine. There you have it. We have a very diverse couple of lists for the price list this week. If you are interested in being on the price list, drop me an email, shortcutsrecordsaus@gmail.com. And thank you for watching. Bye.